Hi there, this is Lorena, the Art Smart Lady. I'm back, and this is an introduction to soft pastels. Last series was of of oil pastels, and now this is going to be a slightly different style because of what the material does. And I was a little extensive in using different kinds of papers and the like, but hopefully it will be helpful. So the reason why I like soft pastels slightly more than hard pastels is because you can manipulate it a little bit more, and it almost looks like painting. Oil pastel, you can use it like painting, but you need to add some other materials or techniques to it to work that, to get it to do what you want it to do. At the end of this demo, I am going to do this hyper-lapse demo of the red-winged blackbird. So if you stick around, you can see that, or just scroll on back and see it if you don't care about the papers. These are the other hyperlapses that will be coming out right after this video in this coming week. So stay tuned, and you subscribe if you want to see the rest of these. They'll come out each day. So coming up, I am going to be testing multiple papers with different types of soft pastel. And right now this is just a plain old printer paper with fairly smooth tooth. And when I say tooth, if the tooth of the paper, it just means that there's like tiny little bumps or very smooth bits in the paper that when you write, you either have texture or you don't have texture. And in a printer paper, ordinary printer paper, there's hardly ever any texture at all. It's quite smooth. And this particular soft pastel that I'm using is not really that soft at all. I called it hard, in fact. It's the Prismacolor Art Sticks, and I've had it for years and haven't used it very much, except for as almost like a color pencil almost. Yeah, it works better in that capacity. This is I called it a no-name soft pastel because I don't remember the name, and I only had the bottom part of the box, so I couldn't tell you what it was. I am sorry about that. This is another no-name soft pastel, but I think it has the name Alpha in it, but I don't remember what it was. And it's more like a student grade pastel. And I called this one medium because it's not as soft as the other one, but it's pretty soft. Rembrandt is a little more expensive type, and I've had this for years, and it's kind of a medium because you can get a nice, it's really great pigment, but it's fairly hard and doesn't break apart really easily. That's what soft ones do, is they tend to crumb up and dust up really fast and disappear to nothing. Now, New Pastel is from, I think, Eberhard, and this is a very hard pastel, but it still has really nice pigment to it, so it's really great to use. And this is Conte, and these ones are these are quite soft actually. I don't know if I put medium or soft, but they're more soft than medium in this particular situation. And then I have one more Conte crayon. When I say crayon, it's just a soft pastel as well. And this one is quite hard, but not. I think it's somewhere in between, so it's medium too. But sometimes you have to work with it and you see the differences. So I used a smudge stick on the top one, and you can see that there was hardly any smudging at all. Same thing with the soft, and the two soft ones up there, they smudge really nicely. The Rembrandt, you see that nice pigment being dragged across the paper really nicely. Same with New Pastel and the Contes, both of them. So all of these smear nicely, but the Prismacolor Art Sticks is not hardly moving at all. This is a kneadable eraser, which is, I think, a really great type of material to use for soft pastels, because you can take off very little of a color, or you can rub harder and get more off, and you'll see how it works with the Prisma. It's barely anything's coming off. You do see some color, and if I kept going, maybe I would get something off, but on this particular paper, it's not taking much off at all. And that's what I wanted to show you, is that different papers, you get different results with the different materials. So that's why I took a little extra time with this part. And maybe it's too much time. You can let me know in the comments. But for some people, maybe this is really helpful to know what type of soft pastel they should buy. And so that's what I did here. And so this kneadable eraser is taking off a fair bit of amount, and if I worked really hard at it, I'd probably get a little bit more off. So certainly the medium and the soft ones on this particular paper. And some of the paper will accept the medium, accept the pigment really well, almost like, it gets tattooed in there pretty well. And so it's hard to come off depending on what type of eraser you're using. But I also, when I say eraser, in other countries they call it rubbers. I also have, this is a more plasticky rubber eraser, and it's also harder. So even the Prismacolor comes on off, no problem. Of course, you're getting almost to the paper with the softer pastels, but this, you can get a lot more off with these harder, more plastic type rubber erasers. See that how nicely it comes off. And I have another eraser, and it's called an art gum, and there's different brands of all of these things, but yeah, art gum is also quite good with taking the pigment off, or getting some layers off of the color. But I think the plastic one, I'll just call it plastic because it's easy, seems to take more off with the same amount of effort. I'm sure if you kept trying, you can get much more off. So that was this paper, and then I end up showing you in a little bit. Oh wait, I forgot. I also used the smudger again for some reason. I think just to see the difference. It's a different kind of smudger. I think it's a slightly bigger surface. So this is one of the ways I like to make a point on these soft pastels is using sandpaper, because you can go a little bit slower, but they tend to hold a point. And soft pastels are held together. It's really pigment and some gum, Arabic gum, that is the binder, and you mix it together. But there's other kinds of binders they put in it, and depending on how much or what type of binder, because it could be like a clay binder, you get a different result with how soft it is, how smooth it is, or how hard it is. And if you look at the difference between how that soft pastel works on the smooth Bristol paper in comparison to the Canson, and this is a My Tints Mitans, I don't know if I'm saying that right, paper, pastel paper, and they have all different colors, like a blues, grays, some kind of pinks, and different colors like that. It's really very toothy paper, so it's very textured, very different than this smooth Bristol paper that's next to it. So you can see how easy it is for instance, let's look at the Rembrandt that I did just be above this one. It's very dark and clear on the smooth Bristol paper, but on the Canson, you see the bottom, you see the tooth of the paper, you see the valleys in the paper because it's a pretty rough type of paper. Yeah. And on this, I'm also going to use the erasers as well, so you can see. So there's the kneadable eraser. Now what you notice is that it keeps the color in it, but you can just knead it, and then it looks like the color's just gone, or at least disappeared underneath. And so you can do your erasing again. So yeah, I'm not getting much off, even on the smooth Bristol paper. You can see a little bit came off of the line, but it's really hard to see the part. On the Canson, though, because it's got the deep teeth to it, that does indeed come off a little bit. And on the smooth Bristol, the soft pastel is going to come off pretty easily. And oh, actually, I changed it. I have the art gum now. I thought I was still doing the kneadable eraser here, but the art gum, yeah, that comes off nice and easily. And you'll notice that I blow away the mess. This is slightly even more messy as far as crumbs as oil pastels. So be mindful of where you're putting your stuff, because it is pigment that's going everywhere. So I make sure I have an area that it's okay to be messy or easy to clean either way, so that you might want to keep that in mind as well. So, and this is the plastic. I changed over to the plastic eraser. That it's really very strong. Oh, back to the kneadable eraser again, because I realized that I didn't use it on that. But it's kind of nice to see how the different erasers rub out the color on the different papers. You just get slightly different results. Because on the Canson, the tooth of the paper is so high, it's easy to get stuff off the top. And I'm not pushing in really hard when I draw on it, so that makes it helpful. And on the Bristol, depending on the type of material, as you notice that I went crazy with the kneadable eraser. It actually like pushes the color into the paper, so that's interesting to see as well. And back to the plastic eraser, and it does a really good job of getting most of it off. But again, the Bristol, it does accept the pigment pretty well if you press hard on it, which I think I might have with the Rembrandt. I think that with the Rembrandt soft pastel. And this is the Conte that I'm working on now. It's kind of more purple. So I'm back to the kneadable eraser. I'm getting rid of the color that was last on there, and I'm using it for that last Conte. Actual pencil. It's a pencil Conte. because you can get nice points on it, of course. And I showed you earlier that I used sandpaper because it's just slightly easier to use to get the points you want. So let's see. I think that's the last bit I did here was with the plastic erasers. Yep. So hopefully this you can get an idea of what to expect with the different papers and the different soft pastels together. And just in case you weren't sure which is what, the Contes on the bottom, the two Contes, and then in the middle, or the darker blue is that Rembrandt medium, and then the two softs are next, and then on top you have the Prismacolor stick, which is really a glorified thick colored pencil in my idea at this point. Did not erase or smudge or any of the characteristics that go with soft pastel in my idea. But for some reason, I had it amongst all those things. And here I'm doing a scribble of all the colors. A little hesitation there, but I wasn't sure what I was doing. I was like, oh wait, what's next? Oh yeah. Because I did try to keep them all in order, but that didn't always work out. Because you're just putting them down real fast after you use them. So, yeah, that's the Rembrandt. So this is now just plain old 80-pound drawing paper, and this is Strathmore. I don't think it really matters what kind it is, but the idea that is it's got a little bit of weight, not a whole lot, but it also has a bit of tooth as well. Not like the Canson, where the actual pastel paper, which had a lot of tooth to it. This you can see slightly how much tooth there is to this particular paper. So, and then I also am just going to go through the different erasers and some smudging here as well. It's helpful to do a little bit of smudging. And you see that on this paper, the Prisma does get a little, color, and you see that the smudges almost get rid of the lines completely in the two soft ones. And I was kind of surprised about this one. This was the Rembrandt. I think it's Rembrandt. No, that was the new pastel that really surprised me at how well it smudged. And both the Contes, they're acting like soft pastels when I rub them on the paper. So very different on this particular paper. And this is just the kneadable eraser again, and it's taking enough off. It's easier on the soft ones, but you notice that the Contes, they're almost as they're taking off as much as with the softer pastels, and the art gum is like, wow, it's really taken off a lot of pigment, which is kind of nice to know. Yeah, see how it takes off from the Conte? Pretty strong. The other is more, it's almost like they're digging into the paper more. And this is I think it's a Baby Heart, but I'm not sure. It's, I could tell you, I can go back and tell you, or you can just look in the beginning, because the picture that I used has it in it, and it's just a stick of an eraser, and it's almost exactly like the rubber eraser that I used, or the plasticky eraser that I used earlier. So just in case you weren't sure which the names were, there you go. And I have one more, and And that's this one where I make little spheres with the same colors. In this case, I'm just going to let you see what it's like. This is also smooth bristle paper. It's just off-white as opposed to the other one. And I'm just going to show you a little bit more with the smudging and creating the little spheres. There you go. And I'm blowing away the crumbs. Or I should say the dust, because it is pretty much very dusty. And still the same thing with that. I'm not getting much movement on the Prisma color sticks. The rest of these are great. Now, because it's Bristol, it's very, very smooth paper. I should say smooth Bristol paper, because there's also more rough Bristol paper. But these are, yeah, I like the way it smears so nicely. Which I did not do. I don't think I did any examples on. Oh yeah, I did. I did one thing on smooth Bristol paper. So one of the drawings is on smooth. Oh no, one of the hyper-lapses that I do is on smooth Bristol paper. So you can check that out this week. So I'm going through with the kneadable eraser, and if you notice, even the top one, because it's the smooth Bristol, also came off pretty nicely. Not perfectly, but there was something. And here I am trying again with my finger. Sometimes fingers can smooth out a little bit nicer than the smudgy sticks, and you don't have to push as hard. But that top one is still very hard and not getting much movement. Let's see. And then at the end of this, or not the end, but then I went ahead and used the erasers again. I'm starting off with the plastic one, and I'm going through, and that's nice on the smooth Bristol. That pretty much everything was coming off nicely. You notice though, in this fourth one, I think that was the Rembrandt, and the next one down, for whatever reason, those colors, maybe because of how strong the pigments are, they just got smoothed in, or that I pushed real hard. So when you smooth real hard with your fingers with certain highly pigmented soft pastels, you're going to end up with staining the Bristol, so it doesn't come off as well. So that's probably good to know. Whereas with the soft, or whichever one, if you work lightly, you're probably going to get more or better results. And this is the Artcom, and you'll see pretty much the same results. They're coming off, but definitely the pigment is stuck in there somehow with those two in the middle. So I went on to create these spheres so you can get an idea of actual thing, because right now I've just been doing scribbles and lines and patches of color. So now I'm creating these spheres unhandily, but they are spheres, you can tell. That I wanted to make it a little bit cleaner. that worked. Sometimes when you go over stuff too many times, it's just not necessary. And then if you don't clean off your materials, including your erasers, it will smear, as you see there. And I'm still not satisfied with my little shiny spot, so I'm using the stick eraser, which is kind of like a plastic type eraser. So then, of course, I take too much off, and then I go back and add it again. Add a little bit more color again. Still working. I'm still working on making sure that the color or the eraser is working. So, and I continue on with these spheres. If you have any questions in particular, because I really I'm not sure what people want to know. I know that a lot of what I've learned is by actually doing it. And yes, I have actually gone to art school and gone through training. But what I've learned is you learn the most when you experiment and do the work yourself. That's how you get the most experience. And once you learn how to do things, quote unquote, properly, then it's time to push the boundaries and see what else you can do with the material. So you're going to want to do the same thing. You might want to use it with other things, or try some different techniques and see how far you can push it. Because even though there's a lot of things that have been done over the years, maybe you have just a different way of looking at things, and what you come up with will be special and different than what's already been done. So I just wanted to add that to this a little bit, while it seems like I'm going on and on with this testing things out here. I almost wish I did the hyper-lapse, but I don't know if it would have been as easy to see what I'm doing here. But just let me know in the comments if you think, way too long with the examples and the different types of materials, and on the different papers and different erasers. And if you like it, let me know. If you don't like it, let me know. Just say, hey, I saw it after the one and it was fine. Or maybe, I think maybe next time I can put them all on one page, like a swatch of each paper on at one time, so you can see them all at once. I think that might be easy. I did 2 at once here, but earlier. I think maybe if I had 4 or 6 or 5 different papers and the different types of material together, that might be just as efficient, and maybe or more efficient than just putting them all or separately like this. So just let me know. I mean, I think everybody's gonna have different opinions, but I'm curious, because this is the first time I'm doing it like this anyway. So I have a lot of room to grow, and I have lots to teach. I have lots to share. There's a lot of experience that I'm ready to get out and share with others who are just beginning their journey on checking out new materials and how to use them. So hopefully this is helpful more than it's not. So, and then I do one more sphere with the last Conte on the brown, on the bit here. It's the last one. I want to say I broke my point somewhere around here. But, oh no, I didn't that yet. Maybe I'll do that later. So yeah, that is the spheres, and I think I did some more. What else did I do with these? Yes, I erased some more. I was trying to write with it. So that's the Conte pencil pastel, and that's the medium hard. And that's the Conte. And I ended up calling this one soft because it pretty much acts like a soft pastel, but it's really more medium than it is soft. This is the Rembrandt. Oh, not the Rembrandt, this is the new pastel. My fault. New pastel from Ava Hard, which is hard, but has really nice color. This is the Rembrandt, and it's a medium, so it's both hard and soft at the same time. It's one of the generic soft ones. I really wish I had kept the box top. I'm not sure why it's not on there, but it's not. And another generic soft one. And the Prisma stick. Prisma color stick. Sticks, I call them. And that one's definitely hard, as you can tell. So we made it through checking out all the different papers and all the different materials together. So hopefully that was helpful. And now I'm going to do the Red Wing Blackbird hyper-lapse. So, and it goes pretty fast, so if you have questions, you'll have to ask. See how messy it is? All the pastels and all the dust. I like to tape down my work so that I can have a little edge around everything. You will notice also that I also use a spray fixative, but instead of fixative, I'm using like a cheap dollar store hairspray. And you'll see me, I think, oh, I didn't show it in this one. Well, you'll see that in another one. So I have sprayed it, and it looks, you can tell that the background is slightly, it almost looks wet, but it'll dry and it'll be fine. You'll see all the ones that I'm getting ready to show you here, that you'll see a hyper-lapse demo from this week. They've all been sprayed with hairspray so that the pigment doesn't just come off easily. I didn't drench it, so but it definitely works to keep the pigment from moving all that much after you put it on, so you're not going to lose your drawings. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you at the next tutorial/demo. And thanks again, and I'll see you soon.